Listening to 88.7 WLUW, Chicago Sound Alliance, broadcasting from the campus of Loyola University, and this is Live from the Heartland.
Over yonder, baby, that's where my baby stays. Well, I ain't been home to see my baby.
4, 3,
About a 99 and one half
2,
days.
and welcome. Once again, here we are live on the corner of Lunt and Glenwood on the stage at the beautiful Heartland Cafe. It is a sunny first day of winter. Hey, hey, let's hear it for the solstice.
Hey, we're still here. I like it that we're still here.
We survived it. All right, everybody knows by now that the new interpretation of that whole Mayan calendar thing is that we are supposed to be making our own calendar, people. So let's start carving. Let's make it the way we want it to be. Let's make it with justice, peace, freedom for all, and get some people out of Washington and send them back where they came from.
And welcome to another edition of the Live from the Heartland show. We're here every Saturday morning. I'm Michael James. I'm here with...
Me, Katie Hogan.
And we have three wonderful guests this morning.
Yeah, we have Mick Dumpke coming up. We have Fred Klonsky, and we're going to kick it off with Tracy Baim, who has been an incredible part of the community in Chicago for so long, keeping alive an incredible institution, something Michael and I can appreciate. Tracy, you are the editor-in-chief, executive director. What's your title at Windy City Times?
I'm the co-founder and publisher of Windy City Times newspaper.
I love it. We're co-founders, too. We like that founding thing. How long has Windy City Times been happening?
We started in 1985, so I was 22 years old and more than half my life doing this.
Where did you come from?
I'm come from Chicago. My mom was Joy Darrow, and my dad was Steve Pratt, and they were both Chicago journalism institutions. They've since passed away, but my dad worked at Tribune 29 years. My birth father's a photographer and shoots for us, and my mom was at the Chicago Defender for a lot of her career.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
What neighborhood did you grow up in?
Near North Side and then near South Side when I was a teenager. So I went to Lane Tech High School.
So you were a total city kid.
I am a total city kid. Yeah, we never lived in the suburbs after age 2.
I mean, I didn't live in the suburbs either, but I lived so far southwest it was almost suburban.
Tracy, what inspired you to start a newspaper?
Well, you know what? My first newspaper I started when I was 10, when I was doing layout at the Chicago Defender.
That would be the time.
Yeah, when I was doing helping my mom and layout at the Chicago Defender in their plant on the south side, and I was like, boy, I like this. So I started a family newspaper at 10. And then when I got out of college in 1984, I started work at Chuck Renslow's Gay Life newspaper. And about a year and a half later, several of us, Jeff McCourt and Bob Bearden and a few of us, started Windy City Times newspaper. I think it was because at the time it was a really heady time in the gay community of Chicago. AIDS was really just starting to have its really devastating effect. People wanted a more independent voice for the gay community, and Chuck Renslow owned a bar, a bathhouse, the newspaper. He was active in politics for the regular Democratic Party.
Right.
And the community wanted more of an independent voice.
Yeah, and one that crossed both sides of the tracks, so to speak.
Exactly.
Well, in addition to being a publisher and an editor, you are now a producer of film. And you have a new film out. It's a gay version of Scrooge. To my understanding, it's Scrooge and Marley.
Right, it's Scrooge and Marley. Scrooge and Marley are business partners, though they're not partners in life. But Scrooge is gay. He's a gay business owner, and he has become bitter in part because of the story of a lot of gay people. He was kicked out of his home in the 1970s, so he goes and works for Fezziwig at a disco. And then later in the 80s, he's affected by AIDS, and he's affected by other loss and bitterness. And we see that through this movie, Scrooge and Marley. It's a very traditional telling of the story. While there is some fun and there is some camp, because Bruce Vilanch is in it, it's actually a very serious retelling of the Dickens story. And we have found that over 200 adaptations later, there actually has never been a gay version of Scrooge on film. So it was really fun to kind of break new ground.
Where did you shoot it?
We shot it in 12 days in May, so we had to have some fake snow. We shot 1 day in my house on the near south side, 5 days in Uptown, 2 days at Man's Country, which is ironically Chuck Renslow's place upstairs.
Is that their place? It's still there?
It's still there.
Bathhouse downstairs?
It's a bathhouse downstairs, and it's an old disco upstairs. And then we shot at Jim Flint's Barge, 3160 on Clark Street.
Right.
So, and then a few outside external locations around town.
Holy
What was your
smokes.
budget on this film?
All in, including distribution, under $200,000.
Oh, that kind of is music to a guy's ears.
It was crazy. My last film I did was Hannah Free with Sharon Glass, and it was also around $200,000 budget.
I didn't realize you were an impresario in the film industry until this.
Yeah,
But
it's
you
only
did-
2 films, and I don't know if I'll do another, but it was very fun. It's just a different kind of storytelling. It's
Do you use any SAG actors?
Yes, actually, a significant portion of our actors were SAG. It was really, and they were really terrific to work with locally. And we had mostly local actors from the stage, but we had some really great LA-based actors that are former Chicagoans, like David Pevsner was our Scrooge, Tim Kazurinsky, who lives in Evanston, was our Marley, Megan Kavanaugh from A League of Their Own, Rusty Schwimmer, really some terrific actors.
Which League of Their Own was Megan Kavanaugh? I love
She
that
was
movie.
Marla Hooch.
Oh.
Yes,
I like
Marla
that word, hooch.
I love it.
Yeah, she was terrific, and she gets to sing in this movie, and so does Rusty Schwimmer. We're really happy that some of these actors that never get to sing in movies because they get typecast or in character roles, they get to show their voice.
Well, let's hear one of the tunes. How about we start off with Xmas Eve is Coming.
Wait, let's give Jay a chance. Tell us what Xmas Eve is coming. What you like about this tune?
Well, Christmas Eve is Coming Soon was written by Richard Knight Jr., who's our co-writer and co-director, and Becca Kaufman, who's a local singer in Chicago, she sings it, and it's my favorite song in the album. It's just a beautiful, powerful rendition of both the sadness and the hope of Christmas Eve.
All right. Well, you're listening live
Let's
from
hear
the
a little bit
Heartland.
of that, Jay. Take us away.
88.7 FM.
Christmas Eve is coming soon. Candles flicker blue. Carolers in red and green, singing 'neath the moon. Dreams are dreamed by young and old. Memories come to life. Peace on earth seems possible. Around the world tonight. Nowhere can you hear the angels call. Nowhere calling out to one and all. The world of make-believe comes true on Christmas Eve.
Websites.
Yeah, distributed all over the country.
It was playing one
Christmas time, a magic time. Hold your lantern high.
and
Make believe is back in bloom. Angels crowd the sky. Listen and you'll hear their song floating through the night. Hear them whisper, come along.
Okay, here we go.
Step
5,
into the light.
4,
Nowhere.
3. Hey, we're back. We're here on the stage at the Heartland Cafe. You're listening to another edition of the Live from the Heartland show. I'm Michael James. I'm here with Katie Hogan, and we are talking to Tracy Baim. That's AIM with a B. And Tracy has a new film out, Scrooge and Marley.
And we were just listening to Christmas Eve is Coming. You know, I listened to the soundtrack last night, and it's such an array of music. I mean, there are times where I'm feeling a little Burt Bacharach. There's a little bossa nova. I mean, there might be something that almost comes close to bluegrass, but then there's this whole instrumental stuff at the end that's really lovely.
Right. Lisa McQueen was our music director, and Richard Knight Jr., who is the co-writer and co-director, is very much a musician himself. So he wrote a lot of the songs, and he oversaw the project's music soundtrack. When we got into producing the movie, I actually didn't realize how much music there was, and it's just phenomenal. It's really, this soundtrack really stands on its own. orchestra. We actually had a volunteer orchestra of 35 musicians that
And they
recorded
called
the
themselves
soundtrack.
the Scrooge and Marley Orchestra?
Right. They were from a variety. DePaul University Civic Orchestra. Cliff Colnott directed it, and the Lakeside Pride Band. So they all donated their services after we filmed to record the score.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
You are one hip businesswoman, aren't you? She's like, yeah. What am I supposed to say? Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question, Kate. Wait, we'll just go right on. Where do people see this movie right now?
Well, tonight the movie's at Gene Siskel Film Center downtown at
Congrats.
7:45, and then on December 27th, it's our last show of the year. It's been playing around the country, but people can get it on our website. You can actually stream it or rent it or buy it live. Right. You can download it right there from around the world, actually, at ScroogeandMarleyMovie.com. And there's links to the soundtrack purchase. You can get it on iTunes, Amazon, Women and Children First Bookstore.
Very good.
So you can get it in all sorts of ways.
Where around the country did it play?
It played just this week in New York and Palm Springs, San Francisco, Tampa, Fort Wayne, Grand Rapids, Three Oaks, Michigan at the Great Acorn Theater. So about 20 cities this fall.
How's the turnout been, and how's the press been?
The press has been pretty good. Roger Ebert gave it 2.5 stars, and he's the one that matters, right? To me, that he reviewed it at all as an independent movie. We were really honored.
He's always been good about finding the good independent movies.
And there's critics that don't like another retelling of the Christmas Story, just like they don't like another Spider-Man.
Right.
So some of them didn't like it, but overall it's been really positive, and the audience especially has been terrific. We debuted Music Box Theater. We did a 1-week run there and had a near sold out opening night that was just the most fantastic debut for the movie. So yeah, it's been really nice, especially on the audience side. Really great reviews from across the country.
What was the biggest hitch that you had in making this movie, or while you were filming? Anything happen? Any setbacks? Any things that were glorious events?
Well, shooting a Christmas movie in May, when it was, in some days, 110 degrees in the attic we were shooting in, was really a challenge for our actors and our crew. And we were doing 16-hour days for 12 days. So doing a movie like this in 12 days was pretty much a nearly impossible task. So that was the challenge, to do it on such a low budget in such a short period of time. So we call it our miracle, 12 Days of Christmas. To be able, and also to be able to gotten out this year in time for Christmas was really difficult.
Well, Tracy Baim, you're also continuing your activism and your journalism. I'm holding up a book here. We're going to get a picture of it, I think, for the YouTube. Gay Press, Gay Power. So talk about this book and where people can get it.
Well, it's also at Women and Children First and on Amazon. It's what I wanted to do was look back at the reason the gay press existed to begin with, which was really there was a void of, there was either no coverage in the mainstream or really horrible coverage in the mainstream media up really until about 1990. The AIDS epidemic, I think, forced a lot of the mainstream media to change its ways, in part because they were losing some of their own reporters to AIDS, and it forced people out of the closet. So I wanted to look at the reason why gay press existed, and then how it survived all these years, and then where are we at today? Because just like the mainstream media, the gay press is going through a huge changes based on both the economy and the internet, and it's kind of a depressing state of being. Right now, if you look at the total number of gay newspaper and magazines, we are back to the numbers that were in the 1970s. The peak of the movement seems to be in the 1990s, when there were hundreds and hundreds of papers across the country. Now we have just over 100 left, and only 12 weekly gay newspapers. So I wanted to see kind of where are we at, a state of the movement, and look to ideas of what might happen for the future.
Well, you adapted. I mean, you closed down your brick and mortar office and went all online, right?
Well, we're not. I mean, we're a virtual office, but we're a print publication.
Right, because we carry it.
Right. That was really important for us to stay in a print format. I think that's still the future for our company, and for most print companies. You still need that print entity in order to survive. Maybe the New York Times will be able to have an online model that's financially successful, but it's very difficult for smaller publications to make that work. So we're adapting. I mean, we have an application on the iPhone and on the iPad, and we're anywhere people want to read us online. But really, for us, the bread and butter is that print publication. So we're going to stay around as long as we can.
That's music to our ears. You know, Katie and I used to publish the Heartland Journal.
Yep.
And in 2005, we stopped thinking it would only be a year, and here we are 7 years later. But we are seriously considering putting it out again, both online as well as a print version.
Right.
So
we'll
you're inspirational to us.
You are. And Tracy, we're going to have you back because before we came on, you were talking about a series that you're doing in Windy City Times coming up about homelessness amongst gay youth.
Right. Right now we're in the 7th of the 8-week series. It's called Generation Halstead, and we had 3 reporters on the streets for 3 months interviewing. It's already out. It's online. They can get it on the Windy City Times website under the youth button. It's an amazing series, interviews and statistics, interviews with service providers, the youth, all sorts of reasons. There are kids still being kicked out by their families today. They're on the streets of Chicago and they need our help, and it's not a one-stop solution. Certainly some of that is criminal elements, and some of them don't want help, but many of them just need a hand and a help and a training, housing, anything that any other homeless teenager might need.
Well, let's hear another song from your flick.
Let's have a big round of applause
Scrooge
for
and
you
Marley
right now. So we'll get our next guest up here while the song is playing. And you're a very inspirational woman. You're certainly very talented and a good journalist and a great publisher. And we're looking forward to getting to know you better.
Thanks very much.
Welcome Christmas
One
present.
more big round of applause, and then let's hear the song, Welcome Christmas.
I'm not sure what song we've got coming up.
Fred Plansky, why don't you step forward?
To Christmas present.
Now is the time for merriment.
Get me, I'm singing and dancing.
Christmas is like a Broadway musical.
We've got elves dancing and reindeer prancing, brimming with good cheer. Tinsel up, let's celebrate what's here. We've got singing spirits, you can hear it. It's filled with Yuletide glee. So deck the halls and sit on Santa's